Welcome to War Master Podcast. Hello there, friends. Today we're going to look at a couple of things. First, we're going to be looking at a Cromarty Forge Carthaginian and a bit of Numidian 15mm army. John sent me some STLs for these, so thank you very much for that, sir. I'm endeavouring to paint them and print them and print them and paint them and etc. etc. And the other thing I'm going to talk about is the list that I built for my first game. At the same time, we're going to talk in both things. I talked about the list that I built for the game I played yesterday against Rid of ADLG at 200 points. So our first game, it was he had his Indian army, which I showcased last week, and this is my Carthaginian army, which is it's getting there. I think there was something like 15 painted bases and 17 unpainted, so not a million miles off, almost half done. Okay, so starting with the two flanks. So you have to have three commanders. So each of my flanks was small. I don't know if that was a good idea. One of my flanks did really well. I think it was this flank here, which has a competent general in medium cavalry, and I made him elite, although I forget about that all the time in game. I think it's quite difficult to keep track of what stuff you've upgraded to elite or downgraded to mediocre or whatever. So there's quite a lot going on first game. So you've got a cavalry medium elite, you've got two medium cavalry and two light horse javelin. So that's a really small flank. It's only worth about 30 points or something. And on this side we've got a similar setup, but we've got a general on the light horse elite. I'm not sure about this at all. I might use it for my actual Hannibal going forward because I don't want him ever in combat. But is it worth having a flank light horse? I mean, they really don't fight particularly well, as you'd expect, because they're light horse. What, they shouldn't really be fighting, should they? Got a light horse, two more light horse javelin, and two medium cavalry. So this flank was even weaker because you've got three light horse and two medium cavalry, and that got absolutely vaporized by Rid. Had a couple of elephants and some. He has a lot of troops that are mixed, so they're archers, which are pretty good in general and shoot quite a decent range. And then when you get into them, they're like medium sword, but they become mediocre because that's how it works for mixed troops. The shooting, one interesting thing is you shoot both turns. So I was expecting to take a bit of shooting on the way in, because obviously every time Rid's got a turn, I'm going to get shot. But he shoots in my turn as well. So that wasn't something I was expecting. How the command structure works, it works really well for these flanks, because they're competent. So you roll a d6. No, sorry. Yeah, you roll a d6. You get a number, you add 1 to it, and then half it and round up. So it tended to be they got 2 or 3 pips a turn on the flanks. In the middle, I've got like a strategist level Hannibal and a medium cavalry elite. He gets +3. So you do d6 +3, and then you half it round up. But he tended to only get maybe 3. So it really took away the bottom end. You couldn't really get less than about 3 pips. But he didn't tend to get many more than that either, because the halving it means that even if he rolls a 5 and adds his 3, gets to 8, and then halves it, goes to 4. So I did find that he didn't have as many pips as I expected, and I totally overfaced him because I gave him 4 what are these, light infantry javelin. They've got really small range of like 1. I'll have a look at the figures more closely now we're going in on these painted ones. So I really like how easy these are to paint. I could have really done the belts and stuff, but I've talked about this in a previous video. It really is just get them on the table time with these. So because I hopefully have more than one army going forward, so I don't want to even spend too much time on this one army. So we've got 4 of these, which was if you think in War Master terms, that's a brigade. So you had to order that brigade. He has 4 medium spear. 4 heavy spear, which I painted this weekend in the 4 different colours. These are really good as well. I probably, if I was taking a bit more time, I should have painted the shields off and then it would have made painting the men a lot easier, and then put the shields on after it was all painted up. But I didn't. I went for the lazy arse, just chuck everything together and then stick your brush where you could get it. So they're not going to be the greatest of paint jobs, but they're on the table, which is what matters, and I don't think they look that embarrassing. Certainly not when you're not looking at 4K from 2 inches away. They should look all right. So I really like those. There was tons of choices, fellas. I think there may have been about 4 different types of helmets on these fellas you could have chosen from, which is nuts. And these are actually spear because the spears are long. If the spears are short, they're actually classified as swordsmen in this game, ADLG. We've got the 3 elephants, which is the first things I painted. I forgot that these were mediocre in game. Again, it was really quite difficult to keep hold of those when you're going across the table doing like maybe, I don't know, a dozen fights in a turn, and you've got to try and remember the quality of each unit. Maybe there's a way to kind of remind you in game, have something on the base that says they're mediocre. Mediocre means that if you roll high, it's an opposed combat dice, so you've got combat factors that add to the combat outcome. So for example, elephants are +2 against most stuff, for example, and the spear are +1. So if an elephant charged a spear, that's not going to work because spears have got defense again. If an elephant charged a medium swordsman, it would be on +1 effectively. So you add 2 to your dice, and the swordsman add 1 to your dice. Then you both roll a d6. So the elephant might roll a 5 and it becomes a 7, and the swordsman might roll a 3 and it becomes a 4. And then the difference between that number, so if the difference is between 1 and 2, is like you lose 1 coherence level. If it's like 3 or 4, you lose 2 coherence levels. 5, 6, you lose 3 coherence levels, and over that you're just automatically broken. So elite stuff, if you roll low, it gets a +1 to the dice. So if you roll a 1 or a 2 or 3, it gets a +1, so you get pushed up. And mediocre stuff, if you roll a 4 or 5, 6, it gets pushed down. So you can't ever get a 6. The best you can get is a 5. And you've got 2 chances of getting a 4 because the 5 becomes a 4. No, that's not right. You've got 2 chances of getting a 3 because the 4 becomes a 3 and you can roll a 3. So it's an interesting system, but it's quite a lot to remember in your first games, and we certainly didn't do a great job of that. And then these are these Gallic swordsmen. Who are in medium sword impetuous, which means you have to order them not to charge. It's quite difficult to stop them charging, but that's cool. I'm definitely going to try and paint these without the shields on, because the shields are massive. And if I put them on, I think they sit right on the tip of the hand, the shields. Maybe I could put them on the flat, their arm. I don't know how they work yet, but I'm going to try my damnedest to paint them separately and not make the mistake I did with the spear. And then we'll have a little bit of a closer look now at these are the light cav, which have javelins, so they got like a range of 1 if you want to throw with them. But they and then we have our Hannibal general in the middle here, and some medium cav. And I put these are actually armored medium cav. They'd actually be heavy cav, I guess, in my list because they've got a bit of armor on. But nobody notices such things. If you say they're medium cav, they're medium cav. Who will know any different? Nobody's looking at these in that much detail. So my guy Hannibal had to order this brigade here, the spear brigade, the elephant brigade, the brigade of whatever, the impetuous sword, and his own brigade of the light, because the cavalry can't go with anything. The elephants can go with the foot, but the cavalry can't. So I think it was just a mess. I hadn't realised how you had to tailor your list building to 6s. So these, I'm not going to do anything about these. I'll leave these as a 4. Then I need 2 blocks of 6, including the elephant, rather than 3 blocks of 6. And then the general, who will become light horse general, this fella here, and he'll be on his own, because your general gets a free pip to move him or the brigade he's in. So he will just move himself. So he'll be at the back, tucked in behind everything, just ordering himself with his free pip. So he'll need 3 orders to order the stuff. Hopefully there's only one lot of difficult stuff to control, the elephants and impetuous stuff. And then the spearmen are pretty easy to control. and then the scouts at the front there, skirmish at the front. So, if you like this game, or like the idea of playing an Ancients game, that there is a 200-point army, and that's not even an elite army. So you could definitely go much smaller than this. And I think my next build will be smaller than this, or certainly won't be any bigger. One thing we did learn is that you need to fortify your camp, otherwise it's quite easy to knock out, which I did to Rid. I just sent some light cavalry round the back, that eventually broke through and just took out his camp. And if it's not fortified, you can't fight. So it's just automatic. So it costs 6 points to fortify the camp. So 6 points is another unit gone effectively. So I'll have to jiggle it around or lose a unit. Or I'll probably lose the elite bits of my characters. So the elite flank commands. Because that's worth 2 points each on the medium cavalry. So it'll be roughly this size. So it's not a giant amount to paint. 34 bases. And there's not that many miniatures on a base. The infantry are a little bit harder because you've got like double basing effectively to them. But yeah, I certainly enjoyed the game, and hopefully I'll talk a little bit about the game when I talk about the rule set later in the week. Okay, but for now, that's an update. And if you're interested in the STLs, John sells these on Dumb Road under the Cromarty Forge. I'll put a link in the description, and they are fantastic things. So fill your boots.